Good morning to you, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful late autumn morning here at Bealtaine Cottage. I'm going to make two videos today. This is the first one. The second one is going to be all about the presents I got because I've got a lot to show you. The postman has been busy here all week. There's been boxes and packages delivered here and so many beautiful things. I mean, I'm just overwhelmed by it all. So that deserves a special video all on its own. Oh gosh, it's been a very exciting week so far. The second book, In Search of the Goddess Rising, is now at the printers. I've been working on the cover because the first book, the cover was made professionally, and this book I've decided to have a go at making the cover myself, and I'm pretty pleased so far with what I've done, and I think I'll probably use that. As you all know, I love photography and I love art and anything creative, and you know, it's good to have a go at doing things. Now, here we go. And these shaggy ink caps continue to flourish. And they're even coming up here on the path. Look, a little one coming up on the actual path. The birds are singing because the mornings are much darker. So when the light does eventually break through, the birds get quite excited and vocal. So they're flitting about here and singing and calling out to each other. Now I'm just going to go and fetch my coffee, which is sitting up on the roof of the car. My little car is under 1,000 litre engine. It's 98 cc, 98 cc, and it drives about 500 miles to a tank of petrol. Trying to work out how many litres the tank holds. I think it holds about 35 or 40 litres. Most of you are aware, who've been following Bealtaine Cottage, that I had an older car before that I shared with my daughter. Well, when I got this little one, I decided to give the other car to my daughter, and so now we're both quite independent. This car as well also has the lowest road tax here in Ireland, and it's very cheap to insure. My insurance is about a quarter of that. That is, you know, in the kind of mainframe here in Ireland, plus the fact I'm an older woman and accident free. Women do make more careful drivers, I expect. Now I'm just pointing the camera there towards Kilronan Mountain because you can see what's called the Dragon's Breath just moving in from the west over there and along the valley below the mountain. You can see it. So we took a little walk down to the pond. Now I've got to show you because I'm pretty excited. I got some birthday money thank you. Some people have sent me some money. And I was going to go down to Kilronan Castle for tea with my daughter, but my daughter says, Mum, I'll take you for tea down at Kilronan as a birthday present. So I was up in Enniskillen the other day and decided to get myself a pair of winter walking shoes, and I'll just show you. There they are. Winter walking shoes, and they're lined with fur, well, faux fur. They're made by Riker, which is a pretty good, let me just point this camera down, which is a pretty good shoe company. So they're absolutely waterproof, weatherproof, and they've got zips on either side there for easy on-off. Because when I come in from a walk with Jack, I like to take my shoes off and just pad about in my woolly socks. They're very, very comfortable. Now again, those of you who know me a little better will know that I've had rheumatoid arthritis from the age of 27. Was diagnosed at the age of 27, and through fairly good life practices, most of all diet, I've managed to stay away from having to take drugs, though I have taken painkillers at times, because rheumatoid arthritis can attack people in different ways. With me, it kind of comes in waves, so sometimes I can go for a year or even two without much pain, but when I do get an attack, it can stay for up to 3 months, and there's like a lot of pain associated with it. So the reason why I'm telling you this is that it did affect the right hand side of my body more than the left, in terms of disfigurement, in terms of pain all over my body. But in terms of disfigurement, my right foot has been disfigured with the rheumatoid arthritis, the joints in my foot. So comfortable walking shoes are incredibly important for me. So just to say that, I don't know why I'm even kind of excusing having bought a pair of shoes, but that's me, I guess. I kind of try to justify everything that I do in some way or another. Jack, come on, come up this way. So the pond is really, come on, the pond is really looking good. And you can hear all the water here, look, escaping in the stream. Look how clear it is. So now that I have the second book sort of off my hands now, it's very much in the hands of the printer, I've got a fair bit of time. So what I'm intending to do over the next few weeks is to get back to writing on my website. I want to write a few blogs. And there's a little booklet that I wanted to get together, and I don't know if I'm going to have the time to do that, but again, some of you may remember from about, must have been 4 or 5 years ago, my first little foray into having anything published, because I've been writing all of my life, but publishing something is a different matter altogether. And my first foray into that was a little booklet. I mean, it was a tiny little booklet, which I sort of had photocopied and stapled together. It was one of those little sort of amateurish booklets, but it came from the heart. It was what I'd entitled the Bealtaine Cottage Little Christmas Book, and then subtitled A Guide to the Deep Midwinter. And it was just full of little stories and songs, poetry, recipes, all the things that I do around Yule, around those magical 12 days. And we all celebrate that in different ways. And I have the deepest respect for however you celebrate these special times. But in terms of the earth, it is a very special time, and that's something we can all agree on, because it's about in the midst of darkness there is the hope of light, and there is, in the silence of the deep earth, the deep dark earth, there is this beautiful rebirthing happening. And that's something which I hold very, very dear. And I talk a little bit about this in my book, In Search of the Goddess Rising, because it's a very special time. So, what I've been doing just over the past few days, since I got my second book off to the printers, what I've been doing is taking a second look at this little booklet, and I've been adding bits to it. I've been putting it up on the laptop on my computer. I've been working with it, adding bits to it, and making inquiries with a local printer, because it's not a full size book. It would be a booklet. It wouldn't be more than about 50 pages, something like that. But I've been making inquiries as to the cost of having this printed commercially. So there is a printers here in Carrick-on-Shannon, here in Leitrim, County Leitrim, that doesn't print books, commercial books, but does do small size printing. So I've made a few inquiries, and I'm just waiting for them to get back to me. And if the cost, because I would want to have colour photographs in this, the original one was black and white, but if the cost is not too prohibitive, okay, so it very much depends upon this. I would very much like to get this printed up, but we shall see. We shall see. It's a lovely reflection over there in the water of the Gunera leaves. And you see the willow in front of that dark green tree. The willow is starting to go this beautiful orange. That's a very special willow called Britensis, which is Brittensis. I think. Something like that, anyway. Oh, there's Jack doing his little triumphal dash through the gardens. Oh, he's stopped now. Lots of red coming up. That's Cornus alba sibirica, or commonly known as dogwood. And there's two different kinds of dogwood. There's the red one, and there's what I call the lime green one, which is this, but some people call it yellow. But if you look closely, the stems are more of a lime green. And that one's called Cornus flaviremera. That's FLAVIRAMEAA, I think. Something like that. And it can grow quite high, you can see it here. So I'm just walking back towards the sound of the water, where the water is flowing off from the pond. I think the sound of the water during the winter entices one into the gardens. And of course the gardens are quite bare, but they do remain colourful. Lots of colour. You'll be able to see that now in the coming months. So I'm definitely going to be in Toronto, Canada, from about the midwinter solstice through to about the 3rd of January. My son has gotten me a ticket, so I shall be there for that time. It would be lovely actually to meet up with some people, and I think for 1 or 2 nights of that stay I will be staying actually in Toronto, and I will be staying in a hotel in Toronto. Again, it's part of my little treat, shall we say. So it would be nice to be able to meet up with you, anyone who's in that area, and who wants to meet up with me over that time frame. You can send me an email and we'll see if we can't get something organised. It would be lovely to meet some of you. And I know that the number of people now in Canada who are subscribing to the website and subscribing to YouTube. Oh look, I've got a little letter here, a little card. It's fast increasing. So anyway, that's something to think about. I have some friends out there who emigrated decades ago. Hence the reason for staying in a hotel in Toronto for it might just be 1 night, but possibly 2. So that's a little bit of a treat as well. Come on, Jack. Trying to hold this camera straight. Let me just move this card to the other hand. Lots of beautiful berries. Lots of berries on the cotoneaster. I have noticed there's a huge amount of berries around. I was reading as well, I was reading in the Guardian newspaper, the UK edition, that there's been a real cause for concern among the insect population, that apparently the insect population worldwide has been greatly diminished. I can't say this strongly enough, so therefore I'm going to keep repeating it. What we have to do is plant for other species and stop this obsession with planting for ourselves. Because planting for ourselves means having complete control of whatever garden or land we have, and putting ourselves at the forefront of everything that grows there. But when you come away from that, which is actually a very unhappy position, to be honest, because I have been there, you know, in my life I have been there. When you come away from that and you move towards something like this, where you're planting in order to create habitat. Everything you do is for habitat, food, and yes, including yourself, of course. Including humans, because, you know, like, we're all together in this. But including, in other words, not excluding all life. So we have to plant for life. And, you know, plant like your life depends upon it, because it does. And we're now becoming aware that we need to plant for all life. Plant for all life. Because we are the species who can go out there and physically do it. The other species can't. I mean, yes, they can drop seeds and spread seeds around, but that can be a very slow process. Waiting just for seeds to grow can be a slow process in terms of trees and shrubs. But we can certainly be very proactive and get out there and plant. And so now we're coming into this beautiful season. Because Samhain, at the end of this month, is the crossover time from summer to winter, because the Celts had 2 seasonal observations, and that was summer and winter. That was across the general calendar of the Celts. So winter begins on Samhain, that lovely crossover point. And that's the ideal time to get out there and to plant. Because what you're planting is asleep. The earth is almost asleep. Not quite. Because we all see, if we look closely enough, all the life that's still there. But, you know, you can just plant and plant and plant. And be generous in what you plant. I mean, when I began planting here, I was told over and over again by lots of, you know, good people who were gardeners and who probably knew a lot more than me. Oh, you're planting too close together. You need to kind of separate them up, and etc., etc. But then I looked at nature. Walking in woodlands and forests, I looked and I seen nature just has seeds coming up everywhere. And let the best one win. And so I knew then, within my own intelligence and sensibilities, that I wasn't doing the wrong thing. I was doing the right thing. So don't worry about planting too closely together or crowding things out. I'm continuing to plant. Wherever there's a space, wherever a little gap opens up. Now I could just see through the trees. I don't know if you can see it. I'll just focus in. That dragon's breath has spread. There, you can see it now. So that's spread over towards Slieve and Erin, and that's where Loch Allen is. Beautiful morning. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to be taking JACK and a WALK down at Kilronan Castle today. I've got to keep those magical words under wraps because his excitement knows no bounds. Look forward to doing a video later on. Have a lovely day, everyone.